Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Anirban Ghoshal. Welcome to this very special session under ET Unwired series called Cutting Chai Stories, an Indianized version of what people globally often refer to as conversations over a hot cup of tea or coffee. The series is geared towards identifying leaders and understanding the very traits, routines, and thought process that makes these leaders stand out in the industry across different sectors and verticals. During the conversation, we'll try and get a glimpse of the person, both personal and professional, who not only takes critical business decisions, but ensures that the revenue clock keeps ticking. And today we have with us a technology and process evangelist who has deep interest in organization building, transformation consulting, digital strategy, innovation, operation, and process excellence. In a period spanning over 22 years, he's facilitated various organizations operating in automotive, financial services, manufacturing, FMCG, food and beverages, IT services, management consulting domain through re-engineering of organization processes, business models, digital strategy development, and program management. During the same period, he's also been closely associated in the implementation of enterprise and digital solutions, including SAP, CRW, DW, business intelligence, analytics, e-commerce, mobile apps, secondary sales applications, and solutions planning for sales planning, forecasting, plant operations, maintenance, supply chain optimization, and logistics. As you can see, his resume is quite astounding. Without further ado, let me welcome Mr. Prakash Kumar, Head of IT, BMW Group India. Thank you for joining us, Prakash.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everybody.
So, Prakash, to begin with, from mechanical engineering in NIT Patna to a master's degree in productivity, your education seemed far away from a mainstream technology career. Were you always interested in technology from an early age? And how did your professional journey begin in technology?
So it was a very interesting journey. The period in which computer was coming up in India and globally also. A lot of people like me actually switched their careers from a core engineering to a IT engineering. On top of it, actually, I was working as an industrial engineer. I was a consultant as an industrial engineer, and industrial engineering is something which defines the business processes. And at that point of time, SAP was coming up pretty fast in the country, and I was very keen to get into it. I got an opportunity to work when I was working with Tata Tea at that point of time to get into the project of SAP implementation. And that's how the switch of my career started. From a core engineer, I went into a business process designer as a functional consultant in SAP, and I never looked back. Because before that point of time, I had not even seen the computers. In our time when we were doing engineering, even the computer rooms were kind of scarce. You used to see just one room in the corner where there will be a couple of computers kept, and you go and used to do some stuff there. Not beyond that. It was like temple in the whole campus. So it was that so precious, actually, the computer side was. But I got an opportunity and I developed a deep interest, and I saw that this is something which is going to change the next industry revolution is going to happen with this. And I stick with that, and I'm thankful that I chose this career, moving from a core engineering to this one.
So let me ask you one thing, Prakash. Today you're sitting in one of the most famous automobile companies in the world, devising technology solutions from them, and you're dealing with emerging technologies. But let me take you back and let me compare this moment with the first touch and feel of that first desktop or that computer that you got. How would you compare the experience today and then back then? What is your take on that?
It's astounding. That's the word. Means I think the guys who were born in the mid 70s like me, and who graduated engineering in the mid 90s or early 90s, they witnessed a phenomenal change. I don't think this present generation would be able to visualize what we have seen it. If you see in the organization, those days, it used to take 1 to 2 months to close your accounts. That was the situation. And when the SAP arrived, it was a click of a button. On 30th of the month, you click a button, finally a guy accounts guy insets, and whole balance sheet is ready for the company. So imagine the change which happened. The way we had seen this, the DOS prompts and to write the codes, and the way this Word, Excel, which formed and gradually developed, and so many computer programs. I'm saying that the thing which touches the common people like Word, Excel, and all also evolved quite a lot. And technology, from being a very backroom kind of a thing, it took a front end shape. So when the first time I actually I remember we were using those big floppy drives. I'm forgetting the size, but it was big. It was, you were able to store data in MB. I think KBs, not even MB.
The 3 inches
So
and the 5 inches one.
3 inches and 5 inches. So we have come from that generation, and having access to a laptop. Forget about laptop. Desktop. Having an access to a desktop was a kind of a privilege in our organization. But I was the few ones who got an opportunity to work with it, and I have a stick to it. And it has changed from 286. Imagine I had worked on 286 model of the Windows, and today what you see, the things working in petabytes and gigabytes, and that's what we talk about. It was phenomenal. I have seen the change, and I have seen the change with my eyes. That's what I can say. That
See, it would also mean that you've had to keep learning, over the years. And today, as you correctly said, that there is information overload. There's overload on your sensory, sensory organs. That anything today you ask, right? Even as you said, that the Apple phone or an Android phone has much more power than the computer that you started with, right?
yeah.
So, what would you tell somebody who's pursuing the same career today? What advice would you give them to excel?
So how I look at, see, when we were starting computers, when the computer arrived on the scene, everybody thought it's going to wipe out the entire jobs. That's what even, and there was a lot of labor unions resistance. There was a lot of apprehension about what will happen with the advent of computers. But what we have seen, that over the period of time, it has not only grown, but it has created a lot more opportunities also. Like today, if you're sitting with this industrial 4.0 revolution, what not is possible is a question now. Means everything and anything in the world you can do with computers. Today, I say that this work from home is possible. A lot of people still argue with me and say that manufacturing is still, you can't do it from home. But I counter the people there, because I have seen, if you go to companies like BMW, who, if you go to Germany, not in India, but if you go to Germany and see the plants, how they operate, there is hardly any human being in the plant. The entire robots have taken over the entire setup of manufacturing. And you can, sitting at home, you can manufacture a car in the factory. This is what is possible with the technology. So what I say to the people, that technology is something, it's like an ever expanding, unlimited scope. Every time new and new things getting evolved. When we think always, what we think, that we are reaching an end of things, that beyond this nothing is possible, and that's the end of it, something else comes. Like today you see this artificial intelligence coming in, the quantum computing is coming in, which is the next thing which is going to happen. So it's lot of things which is going to happen. 5G technology, you see, once the 5G come in, there will be the next phase of industrial revolution which will be happening. So a lot of scope, a lot of opportunity, and I always look at IT as something to look at, where you can do a lot more than what you can even imagine.
So, I'll come to leadership and your leadership style in a moment. But before that, who do you look up to? Who is your role model?
So this is a very interesting question. Means so many times people ask me, and I try to figure it out, that is there somebody, a single person who is my role model? And to be honest, no. at a certain phase of the life, at a certain phase of career, you meet with people who become your role model at that point of time. When I was a kid, I was growing up, it was my parents who taught a lot of things. When we went into college, we were fascinated by some teachers. The aura of their teaching, the way they were doing imparting education was something we looked at. Oh, why not? We should become like them. Uh, you see, in our times, I was very fascinated with Sachin Tendulkar. I was very fascinated with Roger Federer. I was quite a big fan of the gentleman's sports icons. So so that way they were in the back of mind. Yes, I can't become a Sachin Tendulkar definitely, but yeah, we used to think that how this guy actually works on his capabilities and how he's performing, and still he's carrying himself so well. Uh, and these are the things which aspired when we were growing up. What happens after you get into profession, and then you see some guys like I read about it and I learned about it, is Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, uh, how they developed the organization. Means even our own Indian mm, icons like Narayan Murthy, uh, how he developed an organization, built an organization from such an humble background. This is what we aspire for. That like I'm a big fan of these kind of people who have built organization, who have created jobs for the people, who have created opportunities and created opportunity to the world. So all my role models has had been different at a different stage of time, but looking at right now professionally, I'm very influenced by these people who have created a lot of opportunities in the world, a lot of innovation in the world.
So I don't know. Are you looking to start something on your own late 10 years down the line?
Could be. I will not discount. Could be. But I'm not thinking that far. Even sitting here in BMW, one of the key things was my aspiration was to do something where I could feel that I have created opportunities. And one big stuff which I am right now driving in BMW is that I'm creating a development center here in India, which potentially I look that in another couple of years, 3 years, 4 years, it will be creating at least 4 to 5,000 jobs in India, here back in India. And if I would able to succeed that, at least I'll be talking to my grandchildren and telling them this story. Yeah, hey, at least this small thing I could do to myself or to my country, my homeland. Yeah. And this is what is the passion which is actually right now driving me also. So of course I may not become a individual entrepreneur, like I cannot be Narayan Murthy, but in whatever small capacity I am, if I am able to influence the ecosystem to do something like this, I'm very close to achieving that. That's what I'm trying right now.
As well, people say never.
Mhm.
So, just sort of moving on to your personal side of it, and we've had multiple, leaders such as yourself come and talk to us, and or we went and talked to them. What changed during the pandemic? How did your life change during the pandemic, during work from home? A lot of people told us they realized that, work from home for women is much more difficult. People
Mhm.
have started appreciating their wives better, right? Seeing what work they do at home.
On the
People
other
have
hand, wives have started appreciating the husbands, that they do some work also.
true that. So I'm saying, what changed? In your case, what happened? What changed?
So it's a very interesting. I think this also is an experience once in a generation. I think it's a very bad thing to happen, but of course, I think it has changed a lot of things, and the impact will be much better in the coming years. 1 year back, 1.5 year back, none of us would have imagined that the entire 100% of the workforce would be working from home. But it is happening in many companies, many service companies. It stuck up me also as an individual. A very fine morning, Prime Minister came out and said, yes, let's close down and do it from home. It was a big pressure professionally from our side to actually see our organization continuing to work. seamlessly, and the customers also getting things virtually what they were getting it physically. So initially it was a lot of professional pressure, um, and sitting at home doing those things, and then you get into a very small area of your house, that is what is allocated by the children to you. The rest of the area is captured to by them. So it was very difficult adjusting to that. But what happened that how I utilize this time, that I try to do a few more things which I wasn't doing it. Like I started a little bit of gardening. I started a little bit of spending more time with the kids. Uh, I was missing out on a lot of this Netflix thing. So I used some time which I was saving on my travel and other stuffs to watch those stuffs with the family. So it's a positive side of it, that I was able to spend quite some time with my family, which in normal course I was not doing. Um, and the family was also finding it very good, that yeah, father is sitting behind us. I was teaching my kids, I was trying to solve their maths problems and whatnot. So it was very good that way. On the other hand, it was difficult to handle initially. uh, Suddenly everybody from the office was away from you. You are not knowing what the guy is doing, how he is feeling, what is his mood is he connected to the work or not. As a leader, it was very difficult to judge those stuff. But slowly and slowly we all are getting accustomed to it. uh, Still it's a challenge to continue that emotional connect, being away from a very long time. uh, but the world is going to change. That is what I see. It will not be 100% in office in future. I don't see it. It will at the most it could be a hybrid model, but but it's going to change. And this is what is my experience is there. uh, it's a positive in a way that I have been able to spend a lot of time with the family, and I could understand what they do, like whole day, what my wife is doing or my kids are doing, or what where they need me also. So it's a personally it's a big learning actually.
You mentioned Netflix.
Yeah.
What are your favorite shows on Netflix?
I'll not talk about it. I do watch all the web series actually.
Okay.
So right now, since yesterday I'm trying to finish the Family Man season 2. So that's on Prime, of course.
I
But
finished
yeah,
it. Should I give you some spoilers?
no. I'm still in the eighth episode right now. I'm
Okay. Okay. Coming back, what what are your hobbies? You said you picked up gardening, but what is it that you are that you picked up that you do usually? When you're not working, how do you keep yourself productive, fruitful? Because you have to go the next day back again as a leader, right? So what is it that you do as a practice to keep yourself in a productive state of mind?
So one thing is that whenever I get an opportunity to engage myself in some sports that I do, uh, almost on a regular basis, but it's nowadays how difficult it is to find time. But still, this particular stuff I have learned more from the Europeans actually while working with them. I see them that they make sure to spend some time on these physical activities. So I I make sure actually, and my wife also makes sure that I go for some kind of, and if you are in a even if you are not in a competitive sport, but if you are playing something, if you are doing something, it's a big stress buster. Like I go and I play badminton. I um, I sometimes try my luck with cricket also, if I get that's on weekends, but mostly badminton or any in this kind of fun sports I do. Uh, it's an hour if you spend into that, you're in a very different mind zone or a very different space you get into, uh, and that relieves you a lot more. and that gives you a lot more energy, that keeps you fit, that keeps you energized. So this is one thing I do in during the lockdown. This also become a little difficult. Everything was closed, all the clubs and stuffs were closed, so I picked up a few things on gardening. So I started some kitchen garden at home, and put some plantation. That was also very exciting actually. Every day I go and see whether this particular has got another stem or another leaf or anything coming out, and when you see stuffs growing up, taking some shape, which is there in my, if you see my professional career also, I love building an organization. So when you see these kind of things getting built up, it gives you a satisfaction. So that's how it's sports is my hobby, or my, had I not been into corporate life, I probably would have been doing something related to sports, either a commentator, a writer, or a blogger, or anything, or playing some game. But that's my hobby actually.
Prakash, before we let you go today, I wanted to, press you and try to sort of push you and nudge you to divulge an anecdote that has left a lasting impression on your mind. It could be anything, right? It could be something that happened during school, something that happened during college, something that happened during at work, uh, and it has left a lasting impression on your mind and has taught you a great deal about life.
So I don't know who said it, but one thing which drives me a lot actually, perhaps it was I guess it was Nelson Mandela who said it first time, um, that what did he, I think exactly he said that I never lose, I either win or I learn. So and this anecdote actually has got into me, a sink into me. um, what actually I see, that I keep trying, and that's the reason, if you see in my career also, I switched jobs, I switched profession altogether, from a mechanical engineer to moving to computer science. Even in computer science, I was an SAP professional. Now I do everything, and every new day a new stuff comes up, and if I'm sitting with my team and if a new challenge comes up, I always say, let's give a try. What will happen? At the most, this project will fail. This is what will happen, but we will potentially will gain something out of it. So this particular stuff, and as a sportsman also, this is there in my mind, that let's give your best, let's give a try. Failure or passing or failure is not in your hand, but of course trying is in your hand. Oh, so this is there somewhere in my mind is there, that I keep trying, and I don't worry about whether I'm going to win or not. That's the philosophy actually, which has built me basically internally.
That's great, Prakash. I know. Put it in a more sort of a more popular way would be that failures are the pillars of success. Uh, thank you so much for spending time with us at Cutting Chai. It was great to learn from you. Uh, thank you so much again for joining us, and we'll bring you more such wonderful Cutting Chai stories in the future. Stay tuned.
Thank you, Anirban. Thanks.